What is happening, party people? It's your boys, Steve Straza, Sean McLaughlin. This is the Options Flow Show, where we talk about options. We talk about unusual options flow. We look to see if that can lead us down the path into an interesting trade. I've got a high bar for taking directional bets right now, so if Straza's got something, it better be good. Straza, how was your weekend, buddy?
My weekend was okay. How was yours?
I think you and I feel the same way about our weekend. It did not end well on Sunday.
Sorry. Sorry to see
Yeah,
that.
I did not watch your game. I was too distraught after my team played in London, and pretty much our entire defensive squad got injured. So I don't. I think the Bills are going to put their offensive players on defense next week. I have no idea what's going on there, but it looks terrible.
So, was it just the travel? They were all kind of not ready, maybe not conditioned. These London games are controversial.
Very controversial, and that may be the case. But you know what's really sucks about that London game is the Bills played in London. For those of you who don't know, for those of you who don't care, tune out for a second. But they played in London against the Jacksonville Jaguars. It's bad enough that an NFL team has to travel to London in the middle of the season to play a game, but it's equally terrible that the Jaguars played in London last week and stayed in London all week. I feel like that's an unfair advantage,
I don't
and
like
it
that one
certainly
bit.
played out in the game yesterday.
I heard that. I hate that. I'm surprised they did that. Oh
Yeah.
well.
Anyway, you're not here to hear about our football takes. Let's get into it, Straza. What's going on? Are we rallying? Is this it? Is the low in?
JC always mocks me when I do this, and I have been doing it since last week. But like the way we close today is so important. I literally said that about Friday also. Um, but we had such a monster rally on Friday, these beautiful bullish candlesticks that we were talking about this morning. And you really, for a candlestick formation to be valid, you really need follow through and immediate follow through just due to the short term nature of these patterns. So today really is big. We were just talking offline. I said to you, it's all about tech, it's all about growth. Today, specifically, and the reason I say that is because if you do get follow through from those groups following up on these massive engulfing candles from Friday, that is just so very bullish on tactical time frames. So that's exactly what I'm watching. We started out red today. We had these terrible war headlines coming in to start the week. These candles go red to green, and you start to see that in XLK and NASDAQ and these other tech indexes. I think look out. And then you know what? You're going to have a much lower bar for a directional options
Yeah,
trade.
so let's talk about that high bar. We are a broken record here, at least I am over the last 2 months. But I teased it at the beginning there. I have a high bar for putting on new directional bets right now for two reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, the same reason we've been talking about for a while is that I feel like the market is definitely in a sideways consolidation, and I'm not convinced that the bull market has resumed. I would like to believe that the bull market has resumed, but I'm not convinced yet. So until we get a convincing answer on that, I'm very hesitant to get aggressively bullish or bearish in this tape. And then secondly, we've got earnings coming up. I mean, earnings season basically kicks off in earnest later this week.
Yep.
And anytime I find a trade or a stock that has a chart that I would potentially consider putting a directional bet on, boom,
Yep.
I get the old Heisman from the earnings calendar that says, no, wait, hold on. We got earnings coming up in the next week or so. So it's a tough time to put trades on. But let's see what you got here. What's showing up on the unusual options activity scan this week?
There were a couple interesting names. I'll give some shout outs here. Frontline is the last one listed here. It's an oil and gas.
Fro, I love that ticker. Fro.
Yeah, right. So this is one of those midstreams or MLPs. Just kind of made some really nice clean new highs last week. This candle looks a little bit scary here today though. So want to watch if we're above the pivot highs. I like that one long. Shopify. Shopify is another one, very different name. This is over in the growth, more speculative category. I'm pretty sure it's still ARC stock, kind of testing pivot lows. I think Shopify is an interesting one as well. But the one that really stood out that I was hoping to talk about was this PDD Holdings. Remember Pinduoduo from last year?
Yeah, I remember it. It's got one of the strangest names out there.
Funny you say that. Do you think that's why they changed it? They changed their name like first quarter of this year to PDD.
I mean, companies change names for all kinds of reasons. When it's a Chinese company, I'm always suspicious when there's a name change because I just my default feeling about any Chinese stock is that there's some kind of shenanigans going on.
And I think that's appropriate. Um, but this isn't just any Chinese stock. Look at the lower pane here. So this is Pinduoduo or PDD Holdings relative to Chinese tech stocks, really Chinese index. So this is one of the secular leaders in China and really internationally. It's a very strong stock outside the US. Nice base.
Well, I see on the chart there that you have that there were some November 17th 105 calls purchased on the offered. What was the date of that? Do you know?
I do. So at the money calls, a little bit more than a month out. Got involved in these Friday.
Okay, so
I would say
Friday we had that big
Friday.
candle on Friday, so that trade was happening as the stock was rallying. The reason I asked because I was wondering if somebody had got into that before Friday, which would
No,
make me think
okay.
that somebody knew something.
So it was. That actually either caused the move or was right ahead of something. I was watching live. It came across on the forum. Shout out Trade Exchange. They put these out as soon as they hit the tape. So I saw that come across. I actually dropped it in the chat. It was real early, maybe 10 o'clock Friday morning. Then all of a sudden you saw the stock start ticking higher. So these guys actually, the big buy that set off our scan happened before the stock started rallying intraday.
But somebody knows something. That's what makes me think. That's what I'm thinking.
But they went out a month. Could it sometimes be that, and this is what I was thinking to myself Friday, like the flow came in, I didn't see any real specific news. Could it be that like the flow set off buys, right? If other options guys are talking about it, sometimes you see the Nigerians come on CNBC at noon. They talk about the calls that they're seeing on their scan, and all of a sudden the stock's up 5%. That's what it felt like.
Well, I mean, look, we could speculate till the cows come home about why the trade happened. I would like to believe the trade happened because they're looking at this beautiful chart and they're saying, "Hey,
Yeah.
this thing just needs a little nudge to get going. Maybe we'll juice the rails here a little bit. We'll grease the rails and
Yep.
we'll put a big options trade out there. We'll maybe get it going and hey, sometimes that's what it takes."
The technician in me wants to look at something like this and say, okay, these guys are chart watchers. They're buying this breakout. That's what this was. Because that's what it looks like, right? It's a beautiful little cup here. You're showing it nicely on your screen. What is it? 1 year, a little bit less than a year consolidation coming off what was already a nice base, a nice reversal pattern, which you can see on my screen here. And this is just a super clean level, right? Breaking out above these pivot highs. So 106, if you measure the base out, you get to like the 90s. I would just play back to those all-time highs. 213, that's a double.
Yeah. All right. So look, I'm looking at this chart and I like this chart. And again, I'm not going to put a trade on here just because we saw unusual activity at the 105. That's a nice little anecdote and that gives me a little confidence that somebody knows something here. But I'm looking at this chart and just on its own merits, it looks great. This is a great looking chart. Implied volatility, if you look on my screen here at the bottom of my chart here, lowest it's been all year. This is a good option here, or this is a good time if you like this setup, which I do. This is a good time to buy some longer dated out of the money options, out of the money calls, because you could get them cheap. Like if we look into, let's say, I don't know, March options here, and you want to do, I mean, typically I'll go 25 strike, but that feels kind of far away. The 25 delta strike, excuse me, that feels kind of far away. Maybe the 135s, you can get them for about 550, 560 right now.
That's not bad.
Maybe that feels expensive, but I mean, in implied volatility terms, it's pretty cheap. And if Pinduoduo even follows through higher, it doesn't need to get to 135, but if it gets up to, north of 115, north of 120 over the next month or two, you're going to be sitting in some open profits in these calls with plenty of opportunity to take profits.
I mean, we're talking about 25% too in a Chinese internet stock. I mean, from the August pivot lows, the thing's up more than 40%. So
yeah. No, I like this setup, Straza. This is what I could get behind. And what I also like about this, and I'm just realizing this now, is I'm, as I mentioned, I'm very hesitant to take directional bets in the stock market right now because of the S&P and how we're stuck in a range. But the fact that this is a China stock, kind of, maybe it's a little divorced from that. It's kind of got its own thing going on. It might
China,
move irrespective of what U.S. stocks are doing.
the true Notre Dame of markets, China. We overuse that little phrase there, but they really are. They do whatever the hell they want. I'm going to try and make you like it even more. I'm a top down guy, so I couldn't help. So I was looking at the Pinduoduo too this morning. I brought up the Chinese indexes. We were kind of talking about it with Mark Newton this morning. If you think international markets are going lower from here, I mean, what are markets pricing in? Like, what kind of disaster situation must that be? Right? Because he was talking about how economic data overseas is fine. And if these stocks crash much lower, we're talking about new multi-year lows in a lot of them. Look at China here, undercutting the pivot lows, momentum not confirming at all, monster bullish divergences. This is the MACD on the bottom, the RSI 14 in the middle. If we scoop and score here above those pivot lows, squeeze could be on. This is like a potential face ripper setup in China. Then you think of, okay, how would you want to play that? Okay, let's buy one of the strongest stocks. You look at the lower pane here, PDD relative to China, new all-time highs. You're not going to find a stronger stock. Options market participants like it. Bullish flow, base breakout. Let's
Yeah.
go.
Look, go back to that index chart for a second. I mean, I love your optimism that that could be a little scoop and score reversal. I don't love that chart, but considering I'm thinking about playing this Pinduoduo with long calls, at least my risk is clearly defined. If MCI, if China decides to as a country index decides to sell off and take stocks like Pinduoduo down with it, my risk is defined, and I didn't pay a whole lot in volatility terms and premium terms to participate. So, look, I hope you're right. I hope your optimism is warranted. I think it might be, but I don't love that chart. But hey, man, if it does reverse, you're right. It could be a screamer.
Well, you're not supposed to like, because right now, as it stands, it's a bearish pattern. I'm just saying, maybe.
I'm just saying. Yeah.
There's a chance. And then I brought one more for you because I was thinking Sean might hate this, talking about getting long China. He wants to hear about selling the Primo. So I did bring, listen, if you're looking for somebody to tell you it's a good idea to buy a staple stock or any of these defensive bond proxy groups, I'm not your guy, not your man. I think I'm pretty adamant about how much I don't like these stocks. But if you had to buy one, I mean, Monster Beverage is built a little bit different. Talk about a secular leader, been outperforming state. It's a serial outperformer, not just against staples, but the broader market. And there is a level here, really well-tested level at 50. It's been absolutely slaughtered. If it could find its footing, and you're looking for an individual name in the staple space to sell some premium in, I think this is great. Look at the way this thing chopped here at this level earlier this year when it first got here. Straight sideways, tight.
Yeah. All right. Well, I don't love this chart. You're right. And we do have earnings coming up on the 17th. I'm sorry, on the 2nd, November 2nd. However, that said, if I were to trade this one, and I'm not sure that I would, but if I were to trade this one, I would be looking to sell premium, but I would do it in a defined risk way. Sure. I would probably look at the November options, which expire after earnings, as I mentioned. But right now, you could sell the 147 puts and protect it with the 42 and I'm sorry, the 47 and a half puts, and protect it with the 42 and a half puts. So a $5 wide spread. You could probably sell that spread for about $1. Actually, now that I do the math, I don't know if I like it.
But Sean, 42 and a half is a lot. Maybe tighten that up a little bit. This thing's at 42 and a half. Oof. In a month from now?
Yeah, you're right. All right. So 47 and a half. You sell the 45, or you protect it with the 45 put. You get 60 cents for that. So 60 cents on a $2.50 wide spread. You're getting, more than 25% of the width of that spread in premium. I don't hate it. I don't love it either, but I don't hate it. If I was forced to put a trade on here,
Not getting much.
or let me put it this way. If there's any trade to put on here in Monster, selling that 47-45 put spread would be the trade. I don't love the trade, but that would be the trade in my book. As an options trader, that's the trade I would put on.
These groups are hard right now because this is what the charts look like. These things fell off a cliff, and this is, do you want to catch a falling knife territory? In a lot of
the consumer staples sector has been hard. Definitely in my pay to play portfolio, I was short a strangle in XLP, which is the ETF for the consumer staples. Got schmeiced, got worked on that one, Straza. It's been hard.
And that's, so these groups are trading in a way past few weeks that is very much out of character for them, right? So what I mean by that is these are low volatility stocks by definition, or they're supposed to be.
Yeah, so are utilities.
Utilities are moving 5% in a day, getting absolutely blasted. That's not really supposed to happen. Options markets, typically don't price in that type of vol. If you just look at like an XLU or an XLP, like, did implied volatility just go through the roof the past few weeks, or?
In the case of XLP, yes. I mean, you can see it here on my chart. Volatility is up, pretty significantly. The highest levels since February.
All right.
XLU, I believe, is a similar story. Let's pull that up here. Hold on, I can't seem to type. Similar story. It was higher. I mean, it's as high as it was in February and March of earlier in the year. But yeah, I mean, these moves and stocks that aren't supposed to move this way certainly is attention grabbing. It caught my attention for sure.
All right, let's see if these tech stocks could stick it, man.
All right, well, hey, look, I like that PDD trade. I'm going to keep an eye on that one. Maybe put this trade on this week. I like it. I like it because it feels a little different than all the rest, right? For the reasons I said before, it's a China name. China's the Notre Dame of the stock market right now, right? Not saying it's good or bad. It's just different. And it's going to move on different forces. And so the U.S. might go sideways for a while, and some of these China stocks might continue doing well. I mean, there's another, just to bring it up, I mean, TAL is a China stock we've been in for a while. I mean, this chart looking great too. It's kind of consolidating over the last couple of weeks. But, I mean, I don't know what's going on in China, but the stock market seems to be doing all right.
So I'm long this. I've had it for a while, but I'm getting close. So I'm long the monthlies, the 1020s. And I really think we're going back to those highs, December highs. So I'm holding out hope, but I'm keeping it real tight here because that theta is working against me.
Yeah, as am I. I think I'm in the same trade as you. I'm long the sevens, the 7 strike calls that expire this month. So tight leash. My stop on this trade is 850. I don't know where your stop is, but I'm at 850.
So yeah, those pivot lows. So what if what is the contract again for PDD? I'm going to get involved.
PDT. PDD. I was looking at the. Where was I looking? I was looking in March. I think it was the 135s. Yeah, the 135s you can get for about 575, 570.
All right, let's do it. So I was joking with, I think it was Patrick. I said, "Hey Pat, I haven't been this long since Nam. You remember? You remember that?" All right, giddy up.
Yeah. All right, buddy. That's our potential trade for the day. We're going to keep an eye on this PDD, Pinduoduo. There was some unusual options activity that showed up in the Follow the Flow report this week that caught our attention. We're not doing the same trade that some big player did, but hey, if they know something, maybe that can help us out, and that's why we do this work. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Straza, great work as always. I'll see you on the morning show tomorrow.
All right. Bye, everybody.
See ya.